Hello. Welcome. This is Google Meet and Chat for Online Communication. My name is Mark Sedaris. I am a CPS teacher. I teach K through 8 technology at Leonard Regional Gifted Center, and I want to tell you a little bit about these tools that we have available to us as teachers to communicate with our students. So these are the methods of communication that CPS recommends and has approved for our use in communicating with students. So the first one is called Google Meet. That is a video solution that's kind of like Zoom or Skype or FaceTime. You can have up to 100 participants in Google Meet. You can communicate with anyone. It used to be that you could just communicate with teachers. Only teacher accounts were allowed into Google Meet, but now CPS has chosen to allow teachers to communicate with students. So I will share this presentation as well. This is a link to Google Meet. This is what it looks like. And there's a handy dandy tutorial that Google has created for this. There's a whole bunch of videos here that kind of go through what Google Meet is and how to connect it to Google Classroom. So I strongly recommend that you visit those if you're having trouble. Google Meet also has the ability to do what's called live streaming. Live streaming is, so Google Meet on its own means you have two-way video chat. I and my students can chat. We can see each other. If they have cameras, we can hear each other. Live streaming is a little bit different. I set up a Google Meet. I set up a room for online communication with video, and I can also attach a live stream to that. What that live stream does is it means that many more people can see it, and it's non-interactive. It's just like watching television. It's just a one-way communication. They can see my video, they can see what I'm doing. If I'm in a conversation with another teacher or some other people, then they can see that conversation to go back and forth, but the people watching the live stream cannot interact in any way. So that's Google Meet, that's live streaming. There's also Google Chat. Google Chat is a text chat. And in this text chat, you can communicate with teachers and students. There's also some nice tutorials here on Google Chat. Shows you how to create a chat, how to add people, how to create rooms. Google Classroom, many of us are familiar with it. We've been using it for quite a few years in CPS, but it may be new to you. And so I've also provided some resources for Google Classroom. There's a very nice one that someone else made with a cheat sheet. This is a presentation that just kind of has animated GIFs of things. I can show you how to log into a Google Classroom. Thanks, Ben Cogswell. I can show you how to invite another teacher, and this just gives you really nice animations, and that's this Google Classroom cheat sheet. There's also this tutorial. This is a list of all these, a whole bunch of resources for you to peruse that have been created by Google. The last one is Gmail. That's been there for a long time. It's CPS's most recommended communication method with students. What I've created is a comparison of various methods of communication with students. I talk about each of these products more in depth. My recommendations are that you stick to Google Hangouts, Google Classroom, and Gmail. Google Chat is problematic because there are no administrative controls. Students can say whatever they want, and there's no way to delete individual chat messages. There's no way to remove students from a chat room. You know your students best. It may work great in your particular situation, but for many other classrooms it may not work particularly well. So for that reason, I recommend Google Hangouts, which is the video chat. I recommend Google Classroom, which is allows you to communicate, but you can It's not in real time. It's kind of like a web forum that you can send assignments to students, you can share things with, but it is moderated. I can delete student messages, I can mute students temporarily, I can turn off chat, and I still recommend Gmail. There are some other non-approved apps: Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Seesaw, ClassDojo. Those are other good tools. CPS has not said you cannot use them. CPS has not prohibited teachers from using Zoom and Seesaw, but they do require that you get parental permission before you use these tools. And in this document, you're going to see some comparisons of the comparisons of features. You can see whether teachers can share their screen, whether it's accessible to student, whether it's okay for use in the CPS acceptable use policy. That's an important one. You can see whether teachers can mute people or not, and whether they can remove people or not. So these are this is a handy dandy comparison that you can check out, and that is linked in this presentation. Okay, so let me show you Google Meet. So this is Google Meet. I can get there by typing meet.google.com. Another way I can do it is I can create a meeting in a Google Calendar. If I want to start a meeting, well, let's say I'm in Google Calendar. Let's go to my CPS Google Calendar, and I have a check-in meeting here. Now, if I go to this meeting, I see that there is a URL here saying Join Hangouts Meet. My principal has shared with me this particular meeting. If I click on this, it will take me into this room, and I'll be able to communicate with other teachers there. And you can see me. Hello, everyone. I can click on Join Now and join it. So most of the time, your assistant principal colleagues, if they're going to invite you to a meet, they are going to do it via Google Calendar. They may also send you an email, but it will have a link that looks like this. It will say meet.google.com and then a slash and some random characters. This is unique to every kind of meeting. Each one will have its own link. When you create one, it will have its own link as well. Now this is connected to your Google account, so you're going to want to make sure you're logged in with your CPS account. Let's say I want to create my own. There are two ways to do that. I can create one in Google Calendar if I want to schedule it for a particular time. Let's say I want to have a meeting, let's say I want to have one tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'm going to click here, and I just click on Add Rooms, Locations, or Conferencing, and Add Conferencing. Then what it does is it creates a meeting. Now if I went in here and I added some people, let's say I added my principal. If I press save, it would ask to create an invitation, and that would give her an email that she could use to join or see the link in Google Calendar, and she'd be able to click on that link at the appropriate time and enter the meeting. So that's one way. I can create a meeting from Google Calendar. And then to get to that meeting, I just find that meeting and click on it in Google Calendar, which you can get to by going to calendar.google.com. And then I'm going to click on this link, and it will take me to this meeting. Now, you'll only have video if you have a laptop or a webcam connected to a desktop. You can use Google Meet on mobile devices. There is a mobile device for Android and for iOS. So if you have an iPhone, if you have an Android phone, if you have an iPad, if you have a Chromebook, Mac, Windows PC, any of those will work perfect with Google Meet. So let me go over to Google Meet. This is what it looks like. And I'm going to create my own meeting. The way I do that, it's fairly straightforward. I just click on this plus sign, and I can give it a nickname. I can say STEM Chat Sedaris, or if I don't choose anything, it will create a random meeting code based on random letters. So I'll create that. now if I click on join now, I am in the meeting. So this is the link. I can copy the joining info. I can add people. If I click that add, I can add people. I'm going to invite someone. This is my daughter. And if I send invite, then she would get an email saying, this chat is happening right now, and Mark Sedaris has invited you to it. So this is what Google Chat looks like. It's not very interesting when I am here by myself. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create another window. Let me copy the information. The way I do that is by clicking on the name of the chat down in the bottom left and saying copy joining info. Or and then I can paste that into an email. Now I'm going to open up an incognito tab so it doesn't know who I am. And I'm going to put this URL right in here. Anyone can join a Google Meet. They don't need a Google account. So if you have a kindergarten student, you've emailed their parent doesn't have a CPS account, they can join the meeting even if they do not have a CPS account. That also means you need to be careful. Do not share that link or that information with people that you do not want in the meeting. So let me click on allow. That will allow Google Meet to use my microphone and camera. So this person who's not a CPS user, that's going to ask their name, and I'll say my name is Leonard, and I'm going to ask to join. Now, if someone from outside CPS, someone without a CPS username joins or attempts to join, it will ask me here if I want to allow them to join. It says they're unverified, so they need my approval to join. I can deny entry or I can admit. Okay, if you don't recognize a person, you may want to deny entry. I'm going to admit Leonard, and so then I will see Leonard here. And here we go. So this is what I would see as a teacher. I can see that there are 2 participants. If I click here, I have some superpowers here. With Leonard, I can click on him and I can mute him if I have a student that's being inappropriate, or if I want to talk without distractions, I can click on mute and this will mute Leonard. Now, no one can hear Leonard. If it's someone that doesn't belong in the meeting, or for some other reason, I may want to kick that person out. I may want to remove them. I can tap remove, and that will remove Leonard. I can also hit pin. What this does is it makes sure that Leonard is always on the screen. There's also chat built into Google Meet. If I click here, I can say, hello, Leonard. Then if I switch over to Leonard's window, okay, now I'm Leonard, I can see that Mark Sedaris has said, hello, Leonard. Unfortunately, there's no way to moderate this chat. You cannot prevent people from saying things, and you cannot delete things. So you may want to issue some warnings and make your class norms very clear. If it does become problematic, you can always remove a participant from the meeting. Leonard can say, hello, Mark. If I go back to Mark, then I can see Leonard says, hello, Mark. One nice feature of this is that I can turn on captions. For students that may be hard of hearing, Google has a very good algorithm for transcribing text into speech. So if I say Leonard, or captions have been turned on, let me unmute Leonard real quick. I'm going to unmute him now. I can see that it is taking my text and turning it into speech. Now things are popping up twice because I'm using the same microphone for myself and Leonard, but in normal circumstances, actually this is too confusing. I'm going to mute Leonard again. In normal circumstances, I would only see what I am saying. So you can see that it is transcribing my words into speech, or into text rather. And it does a very good job of doing that. This is also useful if you want to follow the conversation, and it does a good job of indicating who is speaking. So you will see which participant is saying what thing. So it provides a nice visual confirmation. It can get very chaotic, particularly if you have an entire class of 25 first graders in there. So being able to see that is useful as well. Other features. I can present my screen. This is a very important feature. If I click on this, I can choose to present my entire screen. That means all the participants would be able to see it, or a window, one particular window. So I'm going to present my entire screen. I have two monitors, so I can choose which monitor I want to present. Let's say I present this one, then everyone can see that as well. Now if you go here, it actually kind of creates another participant here. So this is what they would be seeing. I can, if a student can present as well. If they click on present, it will allow them to present and show what's going on in their screen. I can, let's switch over to Leonard and do his right there. So I'm going to end my presentation. I'm going to switch over to Leonard's window. I'm going to tell Leonard to present. So Leonard's going to present his entire screen. Let's present screen 2. Now I'm going to go back to my teacher screen, and I can see Leonard is a participant and Leonard's presentation is a participant. If I don't want Leonard to show his screen, I can remove Leonard's presentation. This does not kick Leonard out of the chat, but it does mean that he can no longer present. So that goes away, and then I'm seeing the other participant again. If for any reason I don't want to talk, I can mute my own microphone by clicking on this. I can hold space to talk, or press space to talk and space again to mute. I can turn off my video so that people will not see me. There's some humorous accounts on the web of people that have forgotten to turn their camera off when they took their phone to the washroom in a business meeting, and you can imagine how embarrassing that would be. So make sure to turn off the camera if you're walking away from your class or your call. Yeah. And keep in mind that all of these are recorded by CPS, so they do it for safety reasons, for very understandable reasons, but just be forewarned. I can also record. If I click on record meeting, then it will give me this little disclaimer. I should ask for permission. I should not record people without their permission. I'm going to click on accept, and it will start recording once I see a red button here. Now it's recording. You may ask, what happens to that recording? That recording gets stored in your Google Drive. So when I am finished with this meeting, it will show up in my Google Drive right there. Let me stop my recording. There are a few different layouts here. I can choose sidebar that places the person talking in the center and everyone else is kind of over here. I can do spotlight, which means it only shows one person. I can do tiled, where it shows more people. There's an add-on that allows you to show far more people called Google Meet Grid View. You can find information about it here. There are some drawbacks to Google Classroom. One is that you can only see 4 or 5 people unless you install this Chrome extension. This Chrome extension will only work on Windows and Mac. It won't work on a phone or on a tablet. So this can make it so you can see many more people. You can see 25 to 49 people. It's really helpful if you have an entire class in a room. You're going to want to install that Chrome extension, which gives you this neat little button here, and that will allow you to access the grid view so you can see more than 4 people. Other drawbacks: there's no way to moderate chat. There's no easy way to mute everyone, which is something that other competitors have. Zoom, which is another video chat software, video conferencing software, has. You can't lock or password protect the meet, so as long as you're in the meeting, then it keeps going on, and anyone can get there via that link, whether they're a CPS person or not. You can always remove them, which prevents them from joining again, I believe. Another problem is that the meet room remains live after I have left. That's a problem for a few reasons. The first of which is that students can stay in there for an hour or two after I'm there. The solution to that is going to the participants when the meeting is over and removing each of them. Let me remove Leonard, and once Leonard is removed, I'm going to leave the call. Okay? And that will delete the call there. So, what else? Live streaming. Live streaming is a way to have people view the meeting without them participating in it. In order to do that, I'm going to create an event in Google Calendar. Let's go to today and create an event. More options. Gives you a fuller screen view in Google Calendar. Add conferencing Hangout Meet. Now you need to be signed in with your CPS account here. Now I'm going to click on this little arrow, this caret here, and add live stream. What this does is it makes a URL. So when I go into my Google Meet meeting, let me copy this. I would email this out to my students or share it with them in Google Classroom. I'm going to join now. And now I have an option to stream this. If I click on Start Streaming, then it records it and broadcasts it to that URL. So let me open up an incognito window so you can see what this stream would look like. So this is my stream. Oh, it wants me to log in. Let me sign in here. So now this is what the stream looks like. Now you can see, as a participant here, there is a bit of delay. And it also is not, there's no options to interact. I can't chat, I can't do any of that stuff. I can adjust the playback screen, but this live stream kind of gives me a few seconds delayed view of what's going on this main chat. So that's another option as well. Okay. So that is Google Meet. Let's talk about Google Chat. Google Chat is a great product. However, it's going to require you to do a lot of scaffolding with your students because it is an unmoderated chat room. So make sure you're logged in with your Google Chat account. I'm going to go to Leonard STEM Chat. Now this is a chat room here. I can add people. I can add my students, colleagues, and we can chat back and forth. And it makes it really easy to jump right into a Google Meet right here. If I tap here, I can join a Hangout meeting. I can also attach files here. I can upload an image. Here's a graph of some class stuff. I can add a Google Drive file from here, spreadsheet, whatever. So let's add this here, and I can see, oh, my class average is going up. I can follow different people, which means whenever they post, it'll give me some kind of notification. It's a bit like a social network in that I can like things with any emoji. And I can add different threads. Now, one of the problems with Google Chat for classroom use is I don't have administrative power. I don't have the ability to say, Amira, let's block you, or Amira, let's mute you. What I can do is I can make it so I can't see her. I can block her. Someone's being abusive. I don't want to hear them anymore. I can block myself specifically from hearing her. If I go here, I can block or delete conversation or hide notification. But unfortunately, that does not remove her from this Leonard STEM chat room. So other participants will still be able to see. So it's really going to require a lot of scaffolding. I would probably go with Google Meet over Google Chat for most situations. This doesn't have video or audio, which could be a positive thing, but it doesn't give you any special powers as a teacher to kind of moderate things. If I go to my comparison here, I can see that this has some of the features you want. I can talk back and forth quickly, but I cannot mute people, I cannot remove people, and I cannot delete individual chat messages. So that's an overview of Google Chat and Google Meet. There are several alternatives, as I mentioned. You can explore those on your own. Again, if you use things outside of the CPS Google ecosystem, you will need to seek parental permission, because that is not part of the CPS system. It's not according to the acceptable use policy. I also recommend you get permission from an administrator in addition to parental permission before you seek to use this in your class. With that said, Zoom is a really great tool. It even gives you more power than Google Meet. You can mute all, you can turn off chat, you can, without installing add-ons, you can view more people in the Zoom. Seesaw is another great app. It is similar to Google Classroom, but is more geared towards younger learners. So if that is something that's interesting to you, I recommend you talk with your administrator and maybe seek parental permission for that. So I hope that was helpful. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I'll be doing a series of these, so please let me know if there are other things you would like to see. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions about this at all. Thank you so much for listening.